COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
Hello, beautiful people. A bit low. How are you this fine day? Hope you've had a great weekend. For Queenslanders, what a bloody great weekend. Woohoo! Ding dong, the stupid bitch is dead, I guess. We are a little bit chuffed about that. And I've got to say, when news started breaking that, I was with my mum for her 88th birthday yesterday. And she couldn't have got a better 88th birthday present, I don't think. She was a very happy lady. So, as I know, most Queenslanders are. So, question I have. Did she fall on a sword or was she pushed? So, I've been asking around today and there was no falling on any sword here. The taxpayer funded sword was plunged into her from behind for the third time, as it turns out. And it's the unions, once again, who did the plunging. Now, I know that there have been troubles with some of the mining unions up north, and I know that there have been some other issues related to particularly building sites in Brisbane City and contracts being handed out for the Olympics. So whether or not she wanted something to happen and it wasn't going to happen her way, or she was going to make it happen a way other people didn't want it to happen, whatever it is, she's gone. I don't know that whatever we're going to get is any better. So save the celebrations. That would be my advice. Save the celebrations as best you can. Well, it looks like Project Matilda has dropped out on us tonight for some reason. That's a bit disturbing. Don't know what I'm doing wrong there, but we'll have to try and fix that with Daniel and figure that one out. So, yeah, anyway, Ding Dong, the witch is dead. Now, the question really is for me, how long ago did the witch die? Or was she taken out? I just want to show you this picture. Now, okay, I will admit it's probably not the best picture of her, but I would argue is there, in fact, a good picture of her. However, this is her back in the day when she started at the top. This is her when she finished. There has been some questions raised as whether or not they are the same person, and there has been some accusations that she was one of the ones taken out on a trip to Japan, I think, quite a few years ago. Who knows? Who cares? The question for me is, does she play golf, and would you have her at your golf club? Would you? I don't know. Dan Andrews says it doesn't matter, but I don't know. I think his feelings got a bit hurt when the Portsea players didn't want him down there. And many other golf clubs that he'd never even thought of approaching started receiving letters saying, should he ever approach you, say no. Yes, pretty roundly hated all over the place, I think. But, yeah. So, anyway, Queenslanders, a little bit of a party for us. Thank God for that. Who was first in tonight? Chris, you're up early in again. Dusty. Yep, another plucker comment from there. Aussie Sue, God love you and all that you do. And don't forget, don't piss off Aussie Sue. She's a moderator. Just one of many. Well, not many, as it turns out. But she's one of a few and gets pretty serious about it. So we love her for it. Let me scroll through here. Say hello to Mary Ann. Haven't seen you around for a while. Hello, Alana. I'd be very interested to hear a lot more about Senator Roberts being incredibly supportive of the People's Referendum. And I think the COVID Royal Commission thing needs to be looked into. Of course, submissions for that are closing. Government put this out very sneakily last week, very sneakily. So if you would like to make a submission to the government, I urge you to do so. And if you've got my Facebook page, I'm sure I posted the link up there. Vince, if you're in, you might be able to grab that link and post it on the vofhq.com page. But there is a certain format you must follow for your submissions. And if you're going to put a submission in, which can be anything from, well, there are guidelines you must follow. Your submissions must fall within specified guidelines. So go and have a read of those specified guidelines. I think you will find that this inquiry is a whitewash, which I don't think anybody genuinely believes it will be anything else. One of the more serious aspects of having this as a whitewash is, of course, that the bullshit gets to continue. Calls for a royal commission, I think, should be made in your submission. However, be careful what you wish for, because we all thought the red-headed clown and co were going down with the unions when Dyson Hayden was in charge of a royal commission into the red-headed clown and co. Bill Shorten, shifty Bill, who managed to take all of the overtime payments and all of the weekend penalty rates and all of the public holiday penalty rates off Spotless Cleaning in Melbourne and all their staff without them knowing. In return, Spotless signed all those staff up to the union that little Bill was in control of at the time, giving him a lot more union dues coming in, some 3,500 if memory serves. And this is where Bill's power base grew, based in the unions once again. Not one of the people at Spotless was asked whether or not they'd like to join that union, by the way, and they were quite amazed to find that they were part of it. Did they understand that union that they'd joined was because that union took their penalty rates off them, their overtime rates off them? Did little Bill tell them that? No. And these are the kind of bastards that we wind up putting in control of the country. I mean, it just friggin' amazes me. I did see someone say something wonderful here. There you go. Aussie Sue, of course. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and like and share it if you can, folks. It does help the algorithm, and God knows, particularly on the YouTube channels, they suppress it unbelievably, as it turns out. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. It's such a joke. But should anybody ever one day want to talk about how badly suppression happens? I mean, I know the Aussie Cossack talked about it a fair bit too, because it happened to him. But he had 256,000 subscribers before they suppressed him. I didn't have anything like that. So it does make it a bit hard. But if you keep hitting the like button, and if there is a subscribe button there for you to hit, then please tap it, folks. Doesn't matter what platform you're on, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Project Matilda, although not tonight, clearly, or any of the others that we're on. So thank you very much for that. Shari, thank you for your sticker. Really appreciate anything that you can do in that regard. And your sticker at Christmas time means just that little bit more. So thank you very much. All right, let me go back to my board here. I've got a few little bit interesting bits and pieces that I want to talk to you about. We were talking about inquiries and such. Now, the inquiry that the government in Australia is planning on bringing to us is, I think, radically different from the one that we're actually going to require. So this submission that you can put in, and I urge you to do it, the more submissions, the better. Tell them your story within the parameters that they set out in that submission document. If you don't tell your story within the parameters, and I believe it's 3 pages you get, then they're just not even going to read the first page of it. Okay? So be targeted in what you say, but make sure you put something in for this, because we cannot let this whitewash happen. We need to have truth. The people need to know exactly what's going on. Now, you may or may not be aware that in the UK presently, well, actually, before I get to that, when it comes to the inquiry, maybe one of the things that you need to remember foremost in your mind is what that despicable little prick Greg Hunt had to say.
The world is engaged in the largest clinical trial, the largest global vaccination trial ever, and we will have enormous amounts of data. But what's the message for the public? It's safe, it's effective, it will help protect you, but it will also help protect your mum and dad, your grandparents, your nonna, all of Australia.
Bullshit! Bullshit, bullshit, more bullshit. But more particularly, did you get the front
The
part?
world is engaged in the largest clinical trial, the largest global vaccination trial ever, and we will...
Now, that's where the government told you you were part of a medical experiment. But oh no, as we all know, many of our friends, many of our family couldn't actually understand that. And when they did understand, it was like, oh, well, you know, they're not going to do anything to us. Well, now I think people are asking questions. They certainly are in the UK. And I played you a piece the other day about Boris Johnson going into the inquiry. He has faced some pretty hard, heavy questions.
The phrase, let the virus rip, and the notion that you as a government would let the virus rip was your own phrase, was it not?
Well, so, no, there are. I'm sad to say there were plenty of people who had used the phrase in conversation with me. I was trying to represent a view which was sadly quite widespread. What I'm saying is that this was a phrase in common parlance at the time, and remains so.
Sir Patrick Vallance's diary is 273901, page 92.
Yes.
Actually having a discussion, a meeting with the PM about, quote, letting it rip, page...
But I don't wish to be
I'm just going to put...
repetitive, but this is exactly what you'd expect me to be talking about at this stage.
Page 245.
This is June 2020.
I'm going to show you all the ones, Mr. Johnson, out of fairness. The Prime Minister meeting begins to argue for letting it rip, saying, yes, there will be more casualties, but so be it. They've had a good innings. 608. Perhaps that's the same. 439. We should let it rip a bit. 150. He's obsessed with older people accepting their fate. 230. Obsessed with the average age of death being 82, which is longer, you believe, than the average life expectancy. Get COVID, live longer, you said. 245. Back to the other one. You say at the bottom of the page, according to Sir Patrick Vallance, we're in a really tough spot, a complete shambles. I really don't want to do another national lockdown. You are told that if you want to go down this route of letting go, you need to tell people, you need to tell them you're going to allow people to die. Was your position, Mr. Johnson, that in light of your views secretly held about people dying having reached their time anyway, that you were obliged to reject the advice of your advisors that there be a circuit breaker?
No.
That there be no national lockdown until the last possible moment?
No.
And that you would try a tier system?
No. 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 So the implication of the implication that you're trying to draw from those conversations is completely wrong. And my position was that we had to save human life at all ages, and that was the objective of the strategy. And by the way, that is what we did. If you look at what we actually did, never mind the accounts that you have culled from people's jottings from meetings that I've been in, if you look at what I actually said and what I actually did, and there is abundant quotation from me, millions of words that I spoke in Parliament or in press conferences or whatever. If you look at what we actually did, we went into lockdown as soon as we could the first time round, and we sensibly went for a regional approach when the disease picked up again, and then again went into lockdown on the 30th, 31st of October. And I think, frankly, it does not do justice to what we did, our thoughts, our feelings, my thoughts, my feelings, to say that we were remotely reconciled to fatalities across the country, or that I believe that though it was acceptable to let it rip. What I was asking, and I had to do this, I had to, and we covered a lot of this yesterday, but I had to challenge the consensus in the meeting. You've got to understand.
So Boris is getting nailed pretty well, and it's his own words that are coming back to haunt him. We need our own politicians put, well, to the same test. But do we have a system in place that will, A, do that, B, hold them accountable for the truths that are found, and I guess C, compensate those of us that have suffered most? And I don't include myself in that by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, I think Boris has a lot to answer for. And a video that I haven't shown you, but I'm not sure if it was from him leaving that particular session or another one, but he was leaving the building that inquiry is being held in, walking down the steps, and there are people out the front, and quite a lot of people, and they're chanting "murderer" at him. So I would suspect that sort of intense feeling will happen in just about every country around the world when these inquiries, the truthful inquiries, take place, when evidence is presented and shows in a real, true light just how badly people have been deceived. And I think that is coming to light in some of the testimony that we're seeing. But it's not the testimony that matters when it comes to these inquiries and these royal commissions. It's the findings. And the findings come long after the inquiry interviews are finished. And the interval between the evidence taking part and the handing down of the findings part, well, a lot of shit can happen. A lot of words get used in those papers, and words mean things. If you change the right words, you can change the meaning of things very, very easily. So that's why you should be making a submission on behalf of your fellow man / woman regarding the government's actions, federal, state. I think they're probably the two big ones to focus on, because there was the federal cabinet, remember? And that's how they managed to get around a lot of the protections that we are afforded. They created this national cabinet and used Plucker and the Queensland Parliament to get legislation pushed through that could be used in every other state. And that's why lack of the upper house in Queensland is so useful to the bastards in, I suppose, either party, but right now, particularly to Labor, who are quite happy to sacrifice their own for the fight. And look, to be honest, I like the bloodletting in the Labor Party. I just wish there was more of it. Eventually they'll all kill each other, and we won't have to worry about it. That'd be great. They're not the kind of people that I think we support in any way, shape, or form. What they do doesn't matter, and what we're seeing is, in my view, just a movie. So it's meant to wake up those people who aren't already awake, and for those of us that do have a bit of an understanding, even if it's only a partial understanding of what's going on at the moment, then, well, it's encouraging for us, but I suppose also a little bit frustrating at times as well. Now, Chuck Grassley has been coming out and been pretty strong in the committee hearings that are happening in the US Congress at the moment. Both the Senate and the House Judiciary Committees have put out some fairly strongly worded emails and, well, in fact, one of them is basically, pardon me, a subpoena, which is for Hunter Biden to turn up and testify on the 13th. Hunter Biden is fighting that, saying that there's some wriggle room. I don't have to turn up. Well, he does, and he just might be arrested. Now, Chuck Grassley's come out over the weekend, or it might have been last Friday, and let the media know exactly what's going on.
The Democrats and you folks in the media are not concerned about the report. I think you're concerned about the results weren't what you expected. And I think you were finding out that everybody was sold a bunch of snake oil, and now the jig's up.
I just love that. It's just such a mic dropping moment. He just looks at him and turns around and walks off. I really like that. Now, is that going to shake him up? Not on your Nelly. Nothing's going to shake them up. They're too deep into it. They've got far too much invested into it. Their lives depend on it. So still more there to play out, unfortunately. But we shall see what happens. Aussie Sue, I agree with you there. I believe all the evil ones have been replaced. I think there is a lot of stories being told at the moment. Somebody sent me an email today saying that, those who are throwing out and casting aspersions at others usually are guilty of that which they blame on others. And this was in reference to, somebody being called a Freemason by somebody else, or, all that kind of stuff. So there is an element of truth in all of that, and it does tend to be how, it's a way of these things. Worthwhile keeping an eye on, because we are getting disinformation and bullshit from all directions. Some of it's real, some of it's not. So it's good to try and use your own discernment, or better still, count on those around you, the friends and family that you have here or in your local community, because that's where you are going to get the most help. Now, a few other little interesting things have popped up. I'm not sure if you have seen this. I don't know if I played this to you or not, but this just has a little bit of music in it, and you'll have to do a little bit of reading to keep up. But it is very interesting. I've been back and actually looked at the history and the time frame that this video shows, and it's 100% correct. Understanding of radio waves was 1890. The Eiffel Tower opened in 1899. First radio program in 1920. Spanish flu, 18 to 20. In 1979, 1G was launched. Influenza, 2G was launched in Finland. Digitally encrypted calls. Cholera outbreak. 1998, 3G launched in Japan. Bird flu. 3G upgrade. SARS virus and bird flu. 2009, 4G comes in. We got the swine flu. 5G's launching. And look what we got. So I'm just saying to you folks, that's a little interesting. If you go back and check out the big telecommunication advances in our history, where they've changed the frequency or applied more frequency to the bandwidth, there's also been some sort of pandemic outbreak to coincide with it. It's just a bit weird. What do you make out of it? I don't know, but I just think it's a bit weird and an interesting coincidence. I also find something else a little interesting. Now, you may not be able to read that, but I will post these up. I'll send them to Vince so that he can post them up, at least on the website. Now, I haven't had a close enough look at them yet to determine, their veracity. But that document and that document claim to show, this one in particular is for Westpac, that one is for NAB. That seems to show that they are closing down their operations in New York City due to bankruptcy. And there is, all sorts of other bits of paperwork to follow around with that. Now, I have no idea whether or not that's true or not just yet. Mainstream media, of course, won't be talking about it. And I only saw that just before I came on tonight. So, like I say, I was able to blow it up on my screen a bit and have a bit of a look. But I just wanted to, throw it in there for you. Maybe you might do a little sleuthing of your own and let me know what you find out. But NAB and Westpac, and according to the note that I received, ANZ and Combank have all filed for bankruptcy in New York with the Fed. So, don't know what that means. Really don't know what that means. Just a little bit interesting. I saw that today and I thought it was rather fitting, just between you, me, and the gatepost. So I thought I'll throw that one up for you. Very fitting. There is talk of more lockdowns. That seems to be more so in America and England at the moment than here. Of course, we know that our gutless, pathetic, paid-for politicians are going to acquiesce to any request that's sent from overseas for us to do the same thing. Will you do that? Will you, acquiesce to whatever their demands are next time round? I wonder if that's really going to happen, because I know a lot of people are not at all interested in being part of that little game at all. Can I tell you that there is some interesting things being said about the New Zealand numbers that were brought out by the whistleblower, Barry Young, and Liz Gunn. Both of them now have been, I don't know that targeted is the right word. Some might say exposed. But there are claims now that this whole thing is a psyop. And it does make some sense when you read this guy's particular post. He says, "This is laughable. It's completely staged. Watch as Barry Young, out on bail and facing 7 years jail, discusses topics that could potentially increase his jail time. Laugh it up with Liz Gunn, who was allegedly in hiding and fearing for her life. Get serious. We've once again been psyoped. To the people that doubted, I want you to learn. I'm just trying to help. This psyop is serious. It opens up doors to penalising would-be whistleblowers from legitimately searching for proof of fraud by bringing in new government laws, as well as discrediting the movement as a whole by using inflated figures, which we don't need. We already have the proof that the wax is killing people. Not to mention, it also scares legitimate whistleblowers from coming forward for the fear of jail time." The person raises an extremely good point. It was brought forward by the whistleblower himself that he didn't have the only database in New Zealand. I'd be interested to hear from the other database holders. But by now, I'm sure they've anybody who had access to all the data has had most of their access removed. And what they need to know is probably vastly less than what they needed to know this time last week. So I don't know. Is it a psyop? I don't know. There is a very good argument to say that by doing this and bringing this into court, they will either be able to gain a conviction and scare people off, or if they don't gain a conviction, able to legislate some form of protection for themselves. That means whistleblowers down the line will be completely unable to blow the whistle, because there will be no protections at all for them. And in fact, they will go to jail for however long, for whatever reasons the aforementioned offended parties can bring up. I think that's absolutely friggin' despicable, just between you, me, and the gatepost. What isn't despicable is what the new president of Argentina is doing. Of 21 ministries, he has cleaned up a heap of them to be left with 9. Now, he's quite vocal, quite theatrical. He has also stated unequivocally that the Falkland Islands belong to Argentina. Now, while everything else is going on in the world, wouldn't it be interesting if the Falklands Island Mark II started up? Where would England be then? Where would Charles be then? Would they be sending ships straight back to the Falklands to take it all back? Don't know. It's an interesting time. I would say watch this space, because I think there is likely to be a lot more happening in that space in the near future. The rhetoric with Hamas and Israel is dying down. Nobody has been able to fan the flames in Ukraine loud enough for the rest of the world to take any notice in the last, 6 to 8 weeks anyway. So I'm thinking that they're looking for a new fan or new fire to fan, and it just might come out of Argentina, which could be a bit interesting. Now, a little bit of housekeeping stuff I want to talk about. So I have sent out all the patches that I have to all the people that I could off my list. Right now, I think I am about maybe 15 people short. So that's a month's worth of patches, but I'm about 15 people short of patches. So if you've only just sent me a request for those, you're one of those 15. The rest of you, everything got mailed out on Saturday. So hopefully you will get your patches sometime this week. I really hope sometime this week. If not, hopefully early next week. Now, I see that somebody got their patches today, or I beg your pardon, last Friday, and said they had a great weekend. I am blown away for you. If that's the reaction, couldn't be happier for you. If it's helped you in any way, shape, or form, it just makes my heart glow. I can't begin to tell you how happy I am for you, because I know, well, I don't really know, but the experience that I've had with my mate, I know that pain can be so debilitating that you can't see a way out. And if this has helped, taken that strain off you a little bit, then bloody great. I'm wrapped for you. Couldn't be happier. And if you are wanting to go and be involved, then you can get the link off our VoF HQ website. It's up there, and you can go and join and be part of this transformation that many people are experiencing through the use of these pain patches. And there are other ones as well, including sleep patches. So if you have problems sleeping, there is that, and there's 3 or 4 other ones there that work on different parts of the body, different things. So it is possible to tune yourself up a little bit, but the X39 patch really is a go-to, souped up, latest version of everything. Well, the reactions that I'm getting for people is quite amazing. In fact, I had a huge reaction from folks over the weekend about Kate, and many people were wondering just how she was going. And I said on Friday night that I was wondering how she was going. Well, turns out late Friday night, she sent me this.
Explain my excitement in my video. I'm gonna be bending over to chuck a pillow up. It is, what time is it, darling? I've just finished watching Carl's video, and I heard him say about, let me know how you're going. So I thought I'd document it. 19:32, is that 7:30? I think so. The reason I was so excited, we have a new puppy, right? I'm like, this is gonna kill me. This puppy's gonna kill me, bending over, puppy pads, doing the puppy thing again. And my daughter, I thought, now that she's a bit older, she's 7, she would be able to help a little bit more. So last night was her first night home, and we originally had the puppy pen over here. And excuse the mess, because I've been catching up on sleep today. But just hop off there for a sec, darling. I want to show you guys why I was so excited. All right. Got to get all the critters off. Come on. Come on. I got this mattress here. Soph, off. Good girl. This mattress here, you can see how thick it is. I laid it down like this and I slept on this mattress. You can see how, and I just said at 12 o'clock when my pain went away, I thought I'll lay down with Puppy and hopefully she'll sleep. I'll get a few hours on that tiny skinny little mattress. And I thought it would be the ultimate test for these patches. My pain went away about 20 to 30 minutes after my opioids. Oh, it was about 2 hours I'd taken them and they hadn't touched my back pain. And I was like, I couldn't fall asleep because of the pain. And you can tell how out of breath I am because I'm so unfit, because I have not even used my wheelchair the last 2 days. It's been in the garage. So I'm walking around and talking and I'm just not used to it. So I apologize for my out of breathness and my excitement. My excitement is still like, no way, no way, no way. Like there's still a part of me that's skeptical. And my patches won't come till between Tuesday and Thursday next week. So I'm like, this is my last one until next week. But it'd be a really good idea. Give me a good idea of like going back to how I was. I found the first patch. I put it on for 24 hours. And it lasted a good 12 hours after I took it off. So 24 hours plus 12 hours. And then I started to get the pain back. So I'm doing the same with this one. I'm keeping it on 24 hours. I'll take it off tonight. I'm dreading it. But all day, like I have done a lot of catch up on sleep, so I haven't done a lot of physical stuff. But I slept on that skinny mattress. My hip bone was digging into the ground. I went, I have my support worker coming. If I can't get up off the ground, she can help me. My daughter can get my pain meds. My support worker can physically help me get up. And I was in shock that I got up. Not only did I get up, but I got up and I wasn't in pain. And that was, to me, was like the ultimate test, because it's like a camping size mattress. And I'm like, do you know what this means? Like, we can go camping. I have a whole camping setup in my garage. It's a hiking setup. And I said to O, I don't care. Maybe we'll just hike with the wheelchair, put the bag on the back. But I knew that I wouldn't be able to bend over and set tents up. I've got a 3-second tent. Like I've tried to adapt my camping because it's something I absolutely love, and I just haven't been able to. And when I got your email back around at the end when you were talking about my daughter, and I broke down in tears because she's never seen a mum. She's never seen a mum that's been active, that's been happy, that's been able to do stuff. And if I can do stuff, it's very like, oh. She's just brought me Puppy to help me feel better. I am so blessed, and she is so patient, and it just brought me to tears. But at the same time, I've still got this reservation, like, is this really real? Is this really real? And I wasn't going to do a video until after the month. I was just going to document little bits and pieces and put it all together. And at the end of the month, I was going to do something. But I couldn't not say it. I couldn't not send it because it was so dramatic. When opioids, like high strength opioids, wasn't touching my pain, and then 20 minutes after this, and I'll be specific, I took opioids, I wait 2 hours, a good 2 hours. If it's not working, then I start trying to take Panadol, Nurofen, whatever else to try and help add on top of it, maybe a little bit more opioids, which, I probably shouldn't because it's not prescribed that strength, but I do go above my prescription strength at times, just to cope. And I went, hang on a minute, I've still got a patch. I'm going to put it on a bit earlier. And I couldn't believe the first one, all I seemed to have felt was like I could breathe. And I was like, I am in so much pain that deep breathing was difficult. And I would wake up with weakness in my hands, my feet, to the point where I couldn't walk. And I consulted doctors about it, saying, I think it's a circulation thing. I don't think I breathe. Maybe I have sleep apnea. The first night I slept with the first one on, I could breathe. And I woke up like with all my feeling in my hands and my feet. And I'm like, no way. No way. Maybe it's coincidence, because when you've been in pain, you're a very big skeptic. And the second one, when I literally could feel it, I'm like, that has dropped. Has that dropped? That has dropped. And the ultimate test for me was when I rolled over, I could feel a vibration. So, which is why I put a 1 out of 10 of pain. It was more of a vibration, not a pain. When I rolled over, and I went, no way, it's completely gone. Like, it just has blown my mind. And all day, I've just been like this. I've been walking around, wiggling, dancing, excited. I'm like, blown away. And I don't have words yet. I will find them, but I don't have words to thank you, Carl. I was literally, I put myself back on antidepressants because I was going down that dark rabbit hole. I thought, if I can't even look after my child and be a half-decent mum, like, what's the point? So you have no idea. I will let you know the idea, but right now you have no idea. I really still want to try the month, and I want to continue to send videos about, you know, what we do, what I can do. So yes, thank you for these 2 patches, for this experience. Hello.
Yes.
Someone says thank you too. I've just got to get around. Like, I sat on the floor with the puppy, and I'm like, I better get up because I'm going to be sore. And I just got up. It was just like, so I've lived 7 years with, like, I can't sit down on the ground and play with my daughter. She has missed out on so much, and you're so right. It's going to change her life hugely. And I can't. Thank you is not enough. So thank you.
So, can't make that up. I've watched it 3 or 4 times over the weekend. So I'm probably not tearing up this time round. Daniel, you're starting to piss me off, mate. Don't be a dick, Daniel. Don't be a dick. The story with that lady, Kate, because I did see some people who are asking questions about her. She comes from Brisbane. When I received that late Friday night, I sent her back an email that said, well, look, I've got some patches here. I don't want you to, get yourself in a tiz because you don't have any for the next few days. I'm happy to give you a couple to get you through. And she wrote back and said, no, I want to try this and see what difference, whether my pain comes back, what difference it makes. So I fully expect to get some form of other report from her once her patches arrive, which, as you heard in the video, will hopefully be somewhere between tomorrow and Thursday, I think she said. So, Kate, God love you. I'm so happy for you and your daughter. Keep up the reports. We love you. We're so happy that this has made such a difference in your life. Obviously, go and talk to your doctors about it. We don't want you, for whatever reason, this, doesn't work or is not a long-term fix or whatever. I want you to, be open and honest with your medical professionals about this sort of stuff. But if it takes your pain away, if it helps you get off opioid medication, then there's got to be a plus in that for everyone, I would have hoped. So fingers crossed that for Kate, at least, this is the beginning of a new path, and a path that her daughter can now happily run along, and her mum's, by the look of it, going to run along beside her. Which brings me to another point. Now, Kate mentioned in her video how unfit she is. Now, if you've seen Kate's previous story, she'll tell you that pretty much for the last 7 years, she's been either in a bed or in a wheelchair. So anybody in that situation, their cardio is going to be, well, not good. These patches do give you a lift in energy as well. I've noticed it myself. In the last couple of days, I've had patches on, and I definitely have got a lift in energy. I am also sleeping so much better, deeper or whatever, I don't know. But I'm waking up, I'm feeling really refreshed, like to a point where I'm actually noticing it, whereas before I would never even notice. I just get out of bed and go and do shit. So, yeah, that's been, I suppose, one of the big things for me. And I, too, have noticed that I do a little bit of puffing and puffing if I'm wandering around doing things. So be aware of that, folks. If I've sent you a couple of these patches, or if you've ordered some yourself, you're likely going to get a bit of an energy boost. Now, if that is the case, that's great, but all things in moderation. Do not go out and start power walking or bloody lifting weights or, overexerting yourself. Work up to these sorts of things. As you saw with Kate, walking from one end of the house, to the other and talking at the same time can have rather debilitating effects. I probably should have brought this microphone a bit closer. You might have heard me. So bear that in mind. Yes, you will get a bit of an energy kick, and yes, you will be excited that you can get up and move around and do things. Just make sure you don't go and overdo things, okay? Don't go and overdo things. And I saw a question, I'm not sure if I started here or not, about other medications. No, you don't have to cease your other medications from that point. These patches aren't going to interfere with your medications at all. The only thing that's in the patches, by my understanding of it, is an enzyme that works in your own bloodstream with the copper peptides in your own bloodstream, and it's the heat and light coming from your own body that activates the patch. So no, you won't, in theory, have to take other medications. Once you've been on the patch for maybe a while, if it works for you, then you might find that you can wean yourself off them, as Carol is certainly trying and succeeding to do with the opioids that she was on. Now, I can't tell you how important it is that you wean yourself off those if you are on them, okay? If you find that you've got the patches and the patches have dropped your pain more than the medication does, that's great. Don't stop your medication straight away, because these things have a hold on you, particularly the opioid-based ones. So wean yourself off them. If you can, have a talk to your doctor about how best to do that. But you might want to keep some, on hand just in case you have some sort of major relapse, or for whatever reason the patch doesn't work for you that day or whatever. I don't know. I don't want you hurting yourself, though. So take every precaution and look after yourself. It's a very exciting time. If you gain your mobility back, then, well, every video I've received from every person who's tried it so far, everybody dances. So that's great. If you're going to go and dance, but be careful. Don't slip over. The last thing you want to do is go ass up and break a hip and then have to order next month's patches so you can't feel the hip pain. We don't want any of that. So use your own common sense. Use your own discernment. If the patches work for you, then I am blessed that I've been able to give them to you and point you in the right direction of where you can get them. And if you use that link, Daniel, who is giving me the shits tonight, yes, Daniel, the Voice of Freedom does get a little commission from every packet of those patches that is sold. Now, that commission, as little as it is, adds up and goes into a petrol tank, a very large petrol tank. It's over 250 litres. I don't know what you're paying per litre for fuel where you are at the moment, but where I am, it's about $2.20. Aside from that, we have running costs for a fairly large vehicle that, unlike, a little four-cylinder car that most of us will enjoy, this one eats little four-cylinder cars for breakfast and spits them out its exhaust pipe. and it does require a little bit of work to keep them running. It's an older motor, and it's a special motor. I prefer to say special. So prevention is much better than cure, and preventative maintenance much better than curative maintenance. So I'm trying to maintain the old girl as best I can. And to that end, coming up on the 19th of December, I found a man who's prepared to go over the old girl's air. So we'll find out where the holes are, I hope, and maybe get our LPG system up and running again sometime in January. I don't expect it'll happen before Christmas, but sometime in January. By then, hopefully we'll have the money to pay for him too, but we'll have new hoses and potentially have fixed anything else that went wrong. That is what the fingers are crossed for with that. So yes, Daniel, Voice of Freedom does get something out of it. And at the end of the day, Voice of Freedom is going to start a radio station which will have advertising on it. And if you've got a problem with me taking money to put advertising on the radio station to try and keep the radio station on the air, or to try and keep the Voice of Freedom on the air, or in fact other Freedom broadcasters on that Freedom Broadcasting Network, then, mate, I don't care. You've got a bit of a problem. Are you going to fund it? Are you going to help in any way? Or are you just going to sit there in the chat and bitch and moan? So pull your fucking head in, mate. Get real, or just disappear off. I know you have your own agenda, and I know you're trying to spike a reaction. But doing this shit, mate, just means I'm not going to touch it. You understand? I hope you do. All right. Salty. How dare I try and make a living? Well, trust me, I don't think we're making enough out of it for me to make a living. However, I don't require a great deal. When I turn up in a town, somebody shouts me a meal, 9 times out of 10. And I'm not likely to fade away if I don't have a meal. The biggest thing for me is being able to get to the town and then get to the next one after that. So everything I've got goes straight back into this. If it wasn't like that, then anything that was going to come from these patches would be coming to Carl Liebold and not going to the Freedom Broadcasting Network. So I'm not in this for me. The money that we make out of it, we will plough back into this network and plough back into trying to help people who maybe can't afford these patches or who need other things. Yeah, if you're going to begrudge me able to eat off the back of it too, well, then please make a suggestion of how you think I should go out and earn a living while doing all this as well. I'm all ears. Unfortunately, you seem to be all fucking mouth. So fuck off and deal with that. Jason, yes, I do. Thank you very much. I do enjoy a steak. I do enjoy the odd beer. Not a lot of beer, but I do enjoy the odd one. And it's only the odd steak at the end of the day. I was only speaking about this with someone today. I make out that I'm a huge meat eater, but I'm not. I'm not even a big eater. My problem is sugar. I drink fizzy drinks like there's no tomorrow. That is my addiction. And I need to work on that a great deal. Now, there are many people trying to help me work on that, none more diligently than the personal trainer in Melbourne. And yes, I am still doing the walking thing, although probably not as often as I would have liked to. However, that's changing shortly because there is a very large dog in my life who shortly I'm going to become responsible for a week or two. And that will mean walkies every morning and possibly even going down the beach occasionally. So that'll be the dog beach. So I'm looking forward to helping out there. That's going to be fun. Baxter is a beautiful boy, and any opportunity to take him out in public, love the idea. What else is folks saying in here? Daniel, you make 60 feeds and you have $28. Well, shit, that's $6 more than I get out of Rumble, mate. Done well. Steak and béarnaise sauce. I'm a pepper steak guy, but I wouldn't mind giving the béarnaise sauce a bit of a go, just between you, me, and the gatepost. I think on the last trip, I probably tasted more burgers than steaks in different places. I've become quite the burger connoisseur. I also had a bit of fish somewhere, which was absolutely spectacular. That must have been over on the east coast there somewhere, in a little fish and chip shop. Just don't know what came over me. I'm not a fish eater generally, but wound up buying a bit of fish, and it was absolutely stunning. Oh, wow. Ken, you've got a little bit to wait for. 29th of December. Well, post-Christmas present then. I think a lot of people are expecting the patches before Christmas, and I'm hopeful, the ordered patches, that is, and I'm hopeful that you will get them. But, of course, it is Christmas, and while I know that the warehouse is going flat out, it may well be the other link in the chain that could be suffering a few delivery issues. And I'm talking about Australia Post. Some folks who I sent patches to what are we now, 11 days ago, still haven't received them. So one of those people is actually in Brisbane. It was posted from Brisbane. Still haven't got it. So Australia Post, yip ya. Aren't they great? Yeah, postal time Christmas. You're right, Jason. I think that's exactly what the issue is. Yeah, look, Peg, I'm the same. I've seen those videos for some reason, and I don't drink Coke, or I try very, 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 very hard not to, or Pepsi or anything like that. But let me give you an example. Oh, no, I can't. Oh, yes, I can. There you go. Raspberry cordial, but it is zero sugar. I'm a big fan of raspberry cordial. The zero sugar raspberry cordial. Of course, I put lemonade in it, which probably defeats the purpose a bit. That's one of my problems. Thankfully, I haven't been buying lemonade, so it makes it very difficult. I just sit there and look at a half-finished bottle of cordial, remember what used to be. But anyway, we're having a bit of fun with it. Natalie, I'm sorry to hear about your losses. I knew that you were having a bad year, but I'm very sorry to learn that both the significant losses that you've suffered, including your mum recently, can be attributed to the jab. Sad. Sorry about that. I'm very sorry to hear that news. Half a chance we're going to be coming past Gympie and the bus in the next few weeks, depending on what happens with this bloke on the 19th. So I'll let you know if we're coming to Gympie. The plan will be to pull up and say hello to a few folks if we do. So if the engine's running, I'm a-coming, put it that way. So I look forward to catching up then and seeing how you are. That probably, if I'm honest, won't happen before Christmas, but it might happen in that week between Christmas and New Year. You're a Coke addict. I hear you. I was one of those. In fact, at the height of my Coke addiction, I would probably drink more than 2 litres of it a day. I mean, that's a long time ago. But yeah, absolute addiction. In fact, I could drink 2 litres of it in the time I got home from work in the afternoon before I went to bed. So yeah, not good. And I know there are people who have much greater addictions than that, 2-3 bottles a day. So if that's you, then all I can hope is that you see the light. Don't go and drink those diet ones. They're worse for you. But you and I both need to find something. And I can tell you there is something. And this is the personal trainer's juice. She's going to hate me for talking about this again. But her juice, I shit you not, I thought she'd put lemonade in it. It was so nice, so nice. And I've said, I've got to have that recipe, got to have that. Oh, no, I just threw it together, she says. Yeah, great. So the problem with the juice is that you've got to drink it when you make it or, within a few hours. Otherwise, it loses its zing or vitamins or nutritions or whatever it is. I don't care. It's just bloody nice. So I might actually see if I can get her to write out the ingredients that she throws into. She uses a cold-pressed juice maker. I know that because she sent me a picture of one, so I'd know what to look for should I ever get brave enough to go and buy one. they can be a bit exy too, just between you, me, and the gatepost. But if they produce drinks like she presented me while I was down in Melbourne, I could swap that over any day of the week for a sugared drink, put it that way. So get into some juices. I know, I screwed my nose up too. I remember distinctly when she handed it to me, it was like, oh, I made you this juice. And it came in a brown bottle, so you couldn't see what it looked like, which was wise on her behalf. And I, put one of those smiles on my face that was like, oh, great, thanks, And then she stood there expectantly. And I thought, well, shit, I better taste it. So pulled the cap off and had a little sip. Wow. Just wow. Amazing taste. I couldn't get enough of it into me. And I keep hassling her for it, but apparently, given the way Australia Post delivers, it's not going to keep well in the mail, so she's not sending any more loss to me. Aspartame is a bigger poisoner than just about anything else in your drinks. You're 100% right about that. And of course, they were telling us for years that was just, the best thing we could do for ourselves. Use that. Well, what was the other one? NutraSweet was another one. I think they found some issues with that sort of thing too. Yeah. Rob, just drink water. I agree, but which water? If you've seen what I've seen come out of bottles of water, come out of, very expensive bottles of water, you probably wouldn't drink that water anymore. I'm pretty much at that point. However, rainwater, on the other hand, I quite like. Once you filter it, right into. But we haven't had much rain in my part of the world recently. And I think the last 20 litres that I got from the rain, I may not have drunk too much out of it, and it may have turned a bit green itself after a while. So, yes, if you're going to catch rainwater, then bloody well use it, would be my advice. And I plan on doing just that when it rains again. And, of course, speaking of rain, we are likely to get a little bit of rain in southeast Queensland, at least in the not-too-distant future. Capricorn. Cyclone Jasper is, at this moment, I think, predicted to cross the Queensland coast around Cairns area, might be just slightly north. I know Cooktown have battened down. Hello to Rhonda and all her crew up in Cooktown, although Rhonda's not in Cooktown. She's off seeing the family for Christmas, so God love her, you're safe at least. But everybody else up in Cooktown who watches up there, we're thinking of you. And to our friends in Cairns and Rob, my gold mining mate, who's sitting right on the side of the hill there, brother. I hope those palm trees around your house are well bolted down, mate. So we're thinking of you. We'll keep an eye out of what comes over. Now, something that's very important if you are up in far north Queensland, go and get cash. Go and get cash out of your machines or whatever it is, out of your bank, if your bank is lucky enough to still be allowed to handle cash, as most ANZs aren't in regional areas these days. In fact, you can't even go in and deposit coins over the counter in many of them anymore, or a $5 note. Oh, that denomination's too small. Yeah, a bit sickening. But my advice to anybody in far north Queensland, anybody that can be affected by this weather system, is go and get cash, because when the power goes out, and it will, where's your FPOS machine going to be then? Yeah. So go and get cash. Make sure you've got a bit of it on hand. Doesn't mean spend it while it's on you, just means hang on to it in case you need it. All right? So go and get cash, because those FPOS machines are not going to work. And make sure you tell everybody that cash is the only way you're going to be able to survive through a blackout period like that with this cyclone. And God knows it's going to happen. So be prepared. Have cash, have fuel, have batteries. So, and we'll see on the other side of it. It's going to be a very interesting time. There was something else I was going to mention to you about cash. It may have just escaped me immediately. Maybe I will come back to that. There are some interesting things happening in the world of gold and silver at the moment. this is some interesting news. Central banks added a net 42 tons of gold reserves to their central banking systems in October. Now, I think we were talking the other day about India adding a phenomenal amount of gold and silver through October, November, and December. Not the only country doing that. There are quite a few countries who are stockpiling. China, of course, are still doing their hardest. So why don't you follow what they're doing? Okay, you can't do it on the scale they're doing it, but maybe you can do yourself a favor and invest in something that is growing and giving some pretty good returns at the moment. And I'm talking about gold and silver. Whether you can afford a coin, whether you can afford a kilo, whether you can afford an ounce, or whether you can afford a ton. Now is definitely the time to be buying. Markets are weird. The whole thing happening at Christmas with the markets has been, well, it's been noted around the world by bullion dealers, because this time of the year is generally pretty flat when it comes to trading. But right now, it's pretty lively. So we have seen some pretty big increases in the last, 7-8 days. And there's, been a slight settling. But just between you, me, and the gatepost, I would be picking up another coin if I could. All right? Because you never know. You might wake up and find that $40 investment is now worth a shitload more. George, I'm thinking Jasper is a male name because I'm trying to think the last one that came across. Now, I think it also has something to do with whether or not they're born on the West Coast or the East Coast. I want to say boys are named on the West Coast, girls are named on the East Coast. It might be the other way around, in which case Jasper's a girl's name. Or a boy's. I don't know. You can look that up, you know. I'd be concerned about looking anything up on Google, though, if you were going to do that. They'll only tell you what they think you need to know. Here you go, Dave. Store a piece of silver in with the water. It'll do wonders. All right. Is that what you do with the water you use in that, big silver pot thing that you heat up? Just asking for a friend. All right, just so I can clear out a few more questions. Go get the cash and then put it back in. Yeah, I know. It sounds pretty stupid, doesn't it? But when you've got the cash, at least you can go and get shit. When you've got that little bit of plastic and the shopkeep says, the FPOS is down, he gets to keep the stuff on the shelf. You get to piss off and figure out what you're going to do. So, I would say fill your tank is another good piece of advice. Thank you, A. Appreciate that. Rachel is a lady who knows many, many intriguing things and is worthwhile paying attention to. I have never even heard of Shugnite. Shig. I've never even heard of that. So whatever that is, it's good to put in the water, provided it's not a flaky piece of rock. I love the way that we give directions in this movement. Alternative health, isn't it such a interesting field? I don't advocate any of this stuff, folks. You try it at your own risk. That would be my suggestion. The only thing that I would advise is go and buy some gold, go and buy some silver if you can. And Sunflower. Thank you for reminding me. Have any of you watched on the Devil's Channel Netflix this movie called Leave the World? It stars Julia Roberts. That's about the only name I can remember out of it, to be honest. It stars Julia Roberts, and I've got to admit I haven't finished it. I got about halfway through it, and at that stage I still had no idea what was going on. I've now since read some sort of a review of it, which sort of tells me what's going on. I find it very interesting that the movie was produced by Barack and Michelle Obama, their first foray into movie making. Now, when viewed with that in mind, it is a very interesting movie, and there is a lot of dialogue, particularly from the male star. Now, the reason that I've found it probably a bit hard going is because I'm listening very intently to what he is saying, all right? Because he's actually imparting a lot of real-world information. Worthwhile having a look at, very painful to watch, if only because it's just a slow movie, at least to the halfway point. I may well give it a finish watching it tonight, but produced by Michelle and Barack Obama. I thought, interesting. And the fact that it's Netflix is their chosen platform. Of course, they have a deal, I think, themselves, not unlike Harry and Meg's. I think they have a deal with them as well. Let's hope that the Obamas deal went better than Meghan and Harry's. Or let's not. I think that'd be a better way. Hey, I like the way you're talking about here. Physical assets, good things to have, and you can use them to trade. I agree. Like whiskey. Now, Dave O, I tell you what, there is a rich man. If it comes down to people wanting to trade rum, Dave O might just be able to open up a bank all by himself, just between you and me and the gatepost. And I'll be around for a withdrawal in the not too distant future, Dave, hopefully before Christmas. So we'll see how that goes. So anyone is mad if they don't buy a couple of silver ounces. Yeah, look, if you can buy an ounce, go and buy an ounce. I can tell you that if you were going to go and spend $50 on your kid for Christmas this year, go and spend 40 and give them a silver coin, right? Or 43 or whatever they are at the moment. AinsleyBullion.com.au. Tell them that you're a VoF follower. They'll look after you, right? They'll smile politely. They'll tap you on the head. They'll tell you how good they are and what a nice bloke you are, or lady. And they'll really look after you. Cheapest rates for shipping, all secure, all insured. So whatever you buy with them, if you buy online or over the phone, they will ship it to you. You know it's going to get to you. If it doesn't get to you, you know it's insured. You're not going to lose anything, and you will get replacement. So go and check that out. They can even help you out with a half-ounce silver coin, the Ainsley Round. They're about $23 from memory at the moment, and a really great little coin to give to your kids to start teaching them the value of silver. Give them that and get them to watch the stock price or the silver price. And that's easy to do. Just bring up the AinsleyBullion.com.au website, and it's right there on the top of the page, the spot price. So your kids will be able to see in real time the gift that you've given them appreciate. And hopefully, depending on their age, how young you get them and how much they take it on board, you might start a little trend. Might be a little bit better than, saving stamps. Okay, it might cost a little bit more than getting free stamps, but the value is returned exponentially. And the sooner you get into it, the more likely you are to do well out of it. And I think we'll probably wind up talking to Michael from Ainsley Bullion again before Christmas, just to get a bit of a feel for what the market has been doing over these sort of couple of weeks, and wish them a great Christmas and a happy New Year. Of course, they've been great supporters of the Voice of Freedom and great supporters of you. I know a lot of you have gone in and availed yourself of their services. I'm so glad that you've all had such wonderful customer service experiences with them. They rave to me about meeting Voice of Freedom followers. You all go in and you all sort of say hi on my behalf, which I really appreciate, and they rave about you. They're just to a T, every one of you. They just can't love you enough. They feeling like part of our family too. So I'm really pleased that that's the way that they feel, and thank you for inviting them in. Have a bit of a scan down, see what else we've got here. Bernadette. Now, this is the Shugite stuff. You put it in your water, then run it through marbles before drinking. What does running it through marbles do? Can I ask that question? I mean, marbles aren't much of a filter, I suppose, unless you're trying to take the ice out of the water. So what does running it through marbles do? Just a question. Oh, now there's an interesting one. Chris comes up with, Shugite's good to wear as it can neutralize dangerous frequencies and electromagnetic radiation. I'm going to have to go and look this thing up. Sorry, just reading or scanning. Margot, something funny about that. What was funny? Oops, somebody recognized I'm still in the show. Shugite's an EMF blocker. No, you're really going to have to remember I'm in the show. Look, you never know, Aussie Sue. You never know what Santa might bring you. If you've been a good little moderator, you never know what Santa might bring you. Of course, you'd have to know where you lived. But we might be able to figure that out. Rumors are floating around. Hang on. Well, I don't think any of us are too surprised if that's the case, are we? Yeah. He probably knows Australia shuts down over Christmas, New Year. He can go over and see friends and family and do a live report from the studio. We occasionally get our international correspondents back home for a bit of work, so he may well be doing the same. I think the interesting question for me will be, what happens when he comes back? Because he's going to have to come through the airport if that's the case, and you've got to think at some point there will be border security at the airport. Now, it probably won't be the border security that you and I see on the TV. It would be a different border security, a diplomatic border security, and it would depend on the quality of his passport, whether it's a diplomatic passport or whether it's just a Russian passport. It might be possible, be a bit of a stretch, but it might be possible to ban his entry on a Russian passport, therefore forcing him to use his Australian passport to get back in the country, at which point they can arrest him. I guess it depends if he's really out of the country and if anybody cares. Does anybody care? I mean, I suppose the police probably care, but does anybody else anymore? The only time anybody brings him up here is, to find out what he's doing. Well, he doesn't communicate with other people, me or anybody else. No point asking us. Go and ask his own channel. Asking here is just trying to bring his name up, try and keep him alive. And that's probably going to do him more harm than good here. So, yeah. Interesting stuff. Alan, what an interesting comment. Look, geez, now, sunflowers using polished shugite in water. Is it polished like a marble? Just a question for a friend. I've got to look up this shugite, whatever it is. I've got to look up how to pronounce it before much else. All right, I'm starting to rave. Speaking of pedos, all right. They let the pedos and rapists go free, but not someone fighting for the system. No, absolutely not. Speaking of pedos, I want to leave you with a question tonight. 82-year-old John Singleton got married over the weekend to his 40-year-old bride. There's a 42-year age difference. When asked for her comment, what attracted you to old Singo, she said, "Oh, we had a text relationship. He was such a funny man. He's so hilarious." So that's how Singo hooked her. And congratulations. All good. I hope they're very, very happy. The question I have for you to consider tonight is, when an 82-year-old man takes up with a 40-year-old woman, a 42-year age gap, do we consider that pedophilia? And if not, why not? It just strikes me as well, Pegs, gold digger. Well, look, for a gold digger to succeed, the owner of the gold mine must be willing to let them come onto it. Now, one could argue about the benefits, what the gold digger in this case might be bringing to the party, if anything, other than a regimental routine of putting the pills in when they should and making sure he gets washed in the hard places. I don't know. I don't know. But if we were looking at a 40-year-old man or a 50-year-old man taking out a 10-year-old girl, does that sound familiar anyway? How would we view that? Why does years difference, a 40-year-old woman versus an 82-year-old man, elicit a different feeling? And should it? Is that 40-year-old lady okay? What has she suffered in her life where anything outside of a vast fortune would interest her in an 82-year-old man? And why would you open yourself up to that sort of inspection? I don't know. It's all just a bit weird, but I thought it was an interesting question. Should we consider that sort of age gap, an 82-year-old man to a 40-year-old woman, as indications, maybe, of prior likes? But it certainly leaves me with an uncomfortable feeling. Yeah, I understand the sugar daddy thing. Well, actually, I don't really understand the sugar daddy thing. I understand that girls can find rich men and make them sugar daddies. They have to want to be a sugar daddy, and Jeffrey Edelston was one of those, quite clearly. I think Bryn made it quite clear that that was the deal, and whatever that thing he dragged back from Las Vegas was and married before he died, that was another, contract arrangement. Why do they like to do that? Do they think it makes them look good, or, to have a young woman hanging off their arm, it makes them look virile or important or special? Or I just think it makes them look sad, to be honest. And I'd be embarrassed for them, but that's just me. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. That's one from the rum seats. Well done. Yes, Daniel, you are 100% right. But spiritual attractions tend to be what make the longest relationships. So, and okay, I don't know about people's fussiness, but I would struggle as a 40-year-old woman. Well, I don't know, apart from the boobs. I would struggle as a 40-year-old woman to find something sexually attractive about an 82-year-old man. Now, I understand being an 82-year-old man and finding something sexually attractive about a 40-year-old woman isn't such a hard reach. But the other way, and I suppose each to their own. Ladies have certain quirks too. But why open yourself up to that sort of barrage of gold digging and that kind of crap? Strong women, love is blind, as they say. And I guess as long as they're all happy and nobody gets hurt, what's it matter to any of us, eh? Singo's already paid out, is it 6 wives previously, I think? So what is it for a 7th? He's not going to get too worried about it. I don't think anybody's going to deplete his bank account anytime in the near future. All right, folks, going to love you and leave you for tonight. It's been a fairly big day in my part of the world, and I've got another one tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow will probably be a show made up of bits and pieces of things that I record tomorrow, because I'm catching up with not one, but 2 galactic larrikins, and we're going on a little journey. One of them wants to inspect poo. Yeah, I'll explain more later. But it is going to be an interesting day. So tomorrow night, who knows what the show will hold, but hopefully it won't be holding poo. But it will be interesting nonetheless. Look forward to seeing you then. Stay safe. Thanks for the support. You can go to vofhq.com and join us there if you would like. If you want a link for these pain patches, you can get that there, or you've seen it crawling across the bottom of the screen. I can only tell you that they've worked for me. They clearly worked for Kate. They've worked for Carol. And everyone bar two of the people that I've handed them out to. And I think if I had had more patches to hand out, that probably would have been a different story too. So if you're in pain, all I can say is try them. And if it helps you, I'm overjoyed that it helps you. And if it helps you and you buy some patches, then it will help the Voice of Freedom with a small commission off each pack that you buy. It's that simple. And it is a small commission. So nothing huge, and it will go straight into the petrol tank of our vehicle so that we can get back on the road with a few of those dickheads.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!